Hey guys, welcome back to Dave's Outdoorsy Stuff. I thought I'd take you on a little journey today. I found in the back of a deepest, darkest cupboards my very first knife that I had when I was a kid, when I joined Scouts. And it's a tiny little knife. It's like this one here, just a simple little folding lock knife with a wooden handle, brass ends there, and a stainless steel blade. It's a fantastic little knife. It was brilliant to learn with. This one's a bit bigger. It's got more of a adult's hand hold to it, but this other one's quite tiny. You'll see it in a little bit. But of course, been in the back of a cupboard, so it's got a little bit of time damage on it. Got some rust to get rid of, and just to clean it all up, give it a bit of new lease of life. So I thought I'd take you through my 5 little steps on how I clean up and maintain my tools, and how we can get rid of rust, and how we can get them back to fighting fit. So we'll get started. Look at number 1. Okay then, so number 1 is soaking. Nice and easy one. So I've got the knife in here in a fantastically smelly amount of distilled white vinegar. Distilled white vinegar doesn't seem to have the same strength of smell as normal vinegar that you put on your fish and chips, and it doesn't seem to discolour so well, but this is my knife, like I showed you, just to show you comparison there. 3 sizes of the knives there are quite different, but this is the knife. Now I had some rust here on the lock and a little bit on the edge of the blade, funny enough, mainly where my fingers will touch, opening it up, pulling it back again. The main blade isn't too bad, opening it up there, it isn't too bad at all there. So the first step is soaking it. I've been soaking this for over 24 hours now in the vinegar. That won't get rid of the rust, it's just going to make it a bit easier to scrub off. And then you just leave it in there once you're done, and once you've done soaking it, it's always worth leaving the vinegar there just so you can dip it back in again on the next stage, which is using a wire brush. Okay, so stage number 2 is using a wire brush, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to dip the wire brush in the vinegar as well, make that nice and wet, and I'm just going to scrub it all over the knife here, right over just about every part. I'm going to put it on the table and do it because it's just a bit easier. Even the wood I'm going to give a very light one to, because there are some metal pins in there, and also I want to gently try and take off the old finish off of the wood, so I'm just going to slowly work my way through that there, just scrubbing every last little bit. Okay, so already, just with the wire brush, that's come up beautifully well. There, nice shine back on the blade, nice shine back on the brass there as well. Anything that hasn't come up too well is, if I can get the camera to focus there, but it is the locket there, still quite pitted, which will happen with rust. And then, so all I'm going to do now is sandpaper. So that would be step 3. So for a bit of sandpaper all over, I'm going to start off with a rough grit and then work my way down to a really fine, very fine grit there. It almost feels like there's nothing there at all. I'll admit I get whatever sandpaper I can get hold of, but you can work by your grits there, from a couple of hundred grit down to the thousands really. Obviously the finer grit you go, the more of a shine you're going to get and the less scratches you're going to get on it. I am going to lightly go over the wood on the blade there, on the knife handle there, sorry, but I'm not going to go too mad on it. All I want is a nice smooth finish again, so that when we come to seal it in a little while, that's all okay and fine there. Mainly I'm concentrating on the metal work here, not so much the handle. Okay, so we're just going to start off with the rough grip. I'm going to hold the edge of the blade there, minding my fingers. I'm not pushing too hard, I don't want to leave tons of scratches over the metal work. Just getting any excess off of it there, and you can already see coming off there. I'm not going to go along the sharp edge of the blade, mind, because I don't want to ruin what's already there. It's not too bad, it's not fantastically sharp, but that will be the next phase. But I am going to spend a lot of time where the pitting is here, trying to get that as flat and back to normal as possible. You can already see, let's give that a bit of a wipe off, that's already getting the colour and the edging back on there. I do apologise, I have no idea what's going on with my camera today, but it is getting better there. Okay, so that's taken that back a little bit more there. Now you can really see it mostly in the wood there where it's got much paler. I've managed to take off a lot more of the original finish so that I can put a better finish on that one as well. But again, you might notice it's quite that bit shinier there. I haven't managed to get too much off of the lock, but I'm not that fussed. The lock works really well, and I can see that the rust itself is pretty much gone. It is just the pitting in there, and to a certain degree pitting gives it a little bit of character as well. As long as you haven't got the rust there, it's not going to get any worse. So the next step then, step 4, is to sharpen it. So obviously we've soaked it, we have scrubbed it with the wire brush, we've sanded it down, steps 1, 2 and 3. Step 4 now is to sharpen it. I'm not going to go through this one too much because I've got a sharpening video. I'll put a little link on there about this point as well if you want to go to my sharpening video, but I'm going to use the stone, work it towards the strop the same as I normally would do, and hopefully get a bit of a sharper edge out of it. I'm not that fussed with this being too sharp because it's more for memory's sake. It's too small for me to really use safely anymore, but it is it's special to me because it was my first proper knife. So yeah, let's give it a bit of a work. Okay then, so we've had a bit of a sharpen. Now the final stage is to seal it, make sure that it is nice and protected from future dampness so that it doesn't get any more rust, and that it works properly as well. You don't want it to get stuck in the lock there. You can almost hear it grinding against itself there where it's dry and needs something there. So I'm going to use 2 things for the main blade and the workings and the lock up there. I'm going to be using some normal bike oil there. That will cover it. It will keep it lubricated. It's a specific wet oil, which means that it is not going to dry out very easily. It will protect against water really, really well. And then for the handle, I'm going to be using some naturally creamy beeswax there as well. So it's a natural cover on the handle. Smells quite nice as well. And then it should soak in as a nice wax as well and give it a nice protection without taking too much of the original colour away or changing the colour in any way. And it won't leave a sticky residue that linseed oil can do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some oil on the knife there, along and along, and then put a little bit in there on the other end. Let that soak in a minute. I'm just going to rub it in with a cloth into there. Rub some of the excess off at the back there. I'm going to half open it. So be careful, mind your fingers here as well if you've been sharpening it really well. This still hasn't got much of an edge. It's going to need a proper regrinding, but it's enough for me for now, for memory's sake. And then all I'm doing now is I'm just working that oil into the hinge, and it's already sounding a bit better. Don't know if you can hear it or not. There's a little bit of a catch just at the bottom there, but that will work out as well. Maybe try it as well. I think I'll get some oil inside it just so that it almost realigns it, and I'm just going to let it go all the way. Nearly tapped the top there, don't want to do that. Let it work its way in and out there. Beautiful. I can feel the oil now coming through the other side, and I can see it as well in the workings there. I can see it coming through, which is what you want to see. Okay, so now just wipe off the excess like I said, and some of that has gotten onto the handle, and it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world, but I want to use the creamy beeswax. Now I keep a cloth in here with this, so then it's always prepped and primed, nice and full of it. And then I'm just going to rub that on to my knife there. I'll pull it into shot so you can see. I'm just going to rub that all over, polish it on. A little bit around the top edge. I'm not really trying to get it on the main tang of the knife there, or the workings of the knife, but just around it. There. You can see that original colour coming back out then. There, I'm going to use another cloth just to wipe off any excess. You can see there it builds up a little bit. Just going to wipe some of that off. It's not, as I said, it's not the end of the world. Beeswax is good for your tools, but I don't want any gunky, claggy bits or anything like that in there. Lovely. And there we have finished knife. Working really, really well. So it opens up and closes really well. Nice strong lock on it. And we're all good. There. So, thanks for watching that one. Remember, if you wanted to sort your own tools out, get them rust free, clean them up a little bit, 5 steps to it if you're getting rid of rust as well. Give it a soak in some vinegar for 24 to 48 hours. That will loosen some of the rust. Then step 2, give it a good scrub with a wire brush. Step 3, give it a sand down with some sandpaper in finer and finer grits as you go. And then step 4, giving it a nice sharpen for the blade on whatever tool you're using, if it's got a blade. If it's something like a wrench or a spanner or anything like that, then obviously you don't have to worry about sharpening it. And then the last one, protect it, seal it, protect it, so that you've not got any troubles again with it there. Thanks again for watching. Please do hit the subscribe button and the like button, and have a nosy at some of the other videos I've done. Cheers guys, bye.